Before I even begin to talk about anything to do with the review, I guess I should say, welcome to my channel, if you haven't already left yet. I watch a lot of movies. Movies is kind of my thing. And TV shows, obviously. But, I just felt like making reviews of them to pass the time, and that seems to be what a lot of people do, because that's kind of a thing. But yeah. Obviously, I watch a lot of movies. This is just like a brief synopsis of my life. But yeah, so I guess I should get on with the review before I ramble any further. So basically, I got a chance to see the movie Get Out yesterday. New movie by Peele of Key and Peele fame. But yeah, I mean, if you're here, you probably know the synopsis of the movie. But if not, I guess I can run it down for you real quick. So this movie is about Chris and Rose. They're an interracial couple, and they've dated for a couple months now, and she's decided it's time for him to finally meet her parents and go stay there for the weekend at her parents' estate. Chris is kind of skeptical due to the fact that Rose has never told her parents that she's been dating a black guy for the last couple of months, and as the weekend goes on, while they're staying at the estate, really weird stuff starts to happen. Now, if you've basically seen anything that Jordan Peele has done, primarily he likes to do comedies, which is kind of a weird turn of events when he decided, out of nowhere, with the trailer dropped, he was deciding to write and direct a horror movie, a straight-up horror movie, which seemed kind of out of left field. But, I honestly was kind of half expecting it to be kind of like a parody of some sorts. Like a satire, like how Key and Peele has a lot of satire involved in it. But I actually was pretty wrong when I went and saw it, and it was actually pretty good. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail, spoiler-wise, because I feel like it's one of those movies you kind of have to see to understand, as far as, they don't really show too much of the plot in the trailers, which is a good thing. But, yeah, I think it's actually pretty interesting subject matter for a horror movie, as far as the whole interracial relationships and that being like a major plot point to a movie, a horror movie specifically, and the tensions, racially, as far as like how to deal with them and the struggles of them, while also trying to throw in scares for a horror movie and comedy as well, because there actually is a lot of funny parts in the movie as well. I can't really say, completely that this is a horror movie. It's not like a straight-up, horror movie. It's kind of like a psychological thriller, kind of, a lot of the time, because of the fact that her mother is, can hypnotize people and do weird stuff like that. I mean, it is kind of weird at some points in the movie when, it's brought up. But, the good thing about it is, because it also sprinkles in comedy, that because of that, it takes a lot of time building characters that you don't really see done. Like in a lot of newer horror movies, modern day horror movies, they really don't care about character development. They kind of just introduce a bunch of people to a movie and then they die 5-10 minutes later, and you don't really care because you never really got to know the character to begin with. The main cast of the movie really is, the main couple and their parents. And also, I mean, they're pretty creepy and all, but I mean, they also have the two people they employ, and they're basically the only other characters in the movie that have a decent amount of screen time. Except for Chris's friend, but I'll talk about him later on, because he was actually one of my favorites. Because there's not a lot of characters, you kind of just relate to Chris the most because he's the one that's most weirded out by everything that's going on. And you basically go on the journey with him, trying to figure out, what's these people's problem? Everybody in this neighborhood is insane in some way, and why are they so fascinated with black people? It's not even just her parents that are, fascinated with black people. You meet a lot of the other people in the neighborhood, and they're also really fascinated, and it's kind of creepy. I mean, a lot of the movie has a lot of creepy parts, and there's a lot of creepy dialogue. That's kind of part of the why it was kind of unsettling. But, I mean, it was a good kind of unsettling, because, I mean, it is a horror movie and all. I definitely feel like they could have cut down on some of the weird, creepy parts, because they, were kind of forced in some parts. I mean, the one part you see in the trailer where the main character Chris is outside trying to smoke, and he sees the groundskeeper guy, and you kind of just laugh because he's like running full speed at him, and you're thinking like, hey, what is going on? And then like he veers off right before he's about to run into him, and I was like, oh, okay, well that was kind of pointless. But between that and the maid or whatever she is, she keeps unplugging his phone, which I guess is a minor annoyance. I don't know why that was a big deal, because you could easily just like sit in your room and keep your phone plugged in. Like, it's not that hard to keep your phone with you like most people do in this day and age. Also, like, how does his phone keep dying? Because you don't really see him on it too much. Like, once or twice, maybe 3 times. And, like, he's not doing too much on it, so he must have, like, a really, really bad battery. But, back to the main plot at hand. Not a lot of the movie really drags. I mean, some parts in the middle, when they're trying, like, really hard to be creepy and explain the plot of what's going on, it kind of drags, but, like, it ends like really well. Like the third act of the movie is like amazing. Like my theater was like roaring with like cheers throughout like most of the last 30-45 minutes of the movie. Oh, and another thing that the people in my theater really loved, including myself actually, was the Chris's friend that works for TSA that he calls on the phone every now and then. He's kind of like the voice of reason, I guess you could say, even though half the things he says is just outrageous, like talking about sex slaves and all this crazy stuff. But he was honestly one of my favorite parts of the movie. Overall, though, I mean, if I had to really grade this movie as far as like on how I felt about it, I'd probably give it like a B+, just because like it is really good as far as like it's shot really well and the setting's kind of eerie. Like the estate and like the neighborhood that's where most of the movie takes place, and every actor in the movie gives a great performance. The main guy, I forget how to pronounce his last name, but I basically know him as the guy in Black Mirror in the second episode. But he gives a really strong performance as far as the main character goes, and he started to feel bad for him as the movie went on. But I mean, besides that, I mean, all the horror aspects are satisfactory, and there's not really any jump scare. Well, there's not too many jump scares. I mean, there are a few, but I mean, they're not like they're very far in between each other for the most part. They're not going to get like jump scare, jump scare, jump scare. It's going to like build up, which is a good thing, because a lot of modern horror movies kind of take advantage of the jump scares, and that's kind of annoying. But also, I mean, it throws in a lot of comedy because Jordan Peele's, known for comedy. And overall, I mean, most of it was pretty funny, and I got most of the jokes. And yeah, I mean, I thought it was a good movie overall. Besides the forced, like, what do you call it? The forced creepy dialogue, and some of the situations kind of went on a little bit too long. Hopefully, this movie does well this weekend. Comes out this Friday, the 24th, February. And hopefully, if it does do well, there will be more horror movies in the future for him, because I think that'd be really cool, actually. But yeah, I would probably have to give it a B+, like I said earlier. But yeah, I mean, thanks for watching. I'll probably do a lot more of these in the future. So thanks for watching.